Okay, so if you read through all this, it tells you a story, Enrique and Guadalupe and da 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 da. So determine the area of the figure. So how do we find the area of the figure? Well, again, I'm going to do the same thing that I always do, and I'm going to make a rectangle around it. So I'm going to go like this. Make my rectangle. Okay. So there's my rectangle, and I'm going to use that to help me find the area. What's the game plan? I think you know it by now. So the area of the shape is going to be the area of the whole rectangle minus the missing parts. So you got it. So the area of the shape, area of the inside shape, is going to be the area of the whole rectangle. Subtract the parts that are missing. Subtract the parts that are missing. Okay. So how big is the whole rectangle? Well, this is what? 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's a 4 by 8. Remember, you count jumps. Area is always jumps. So you count jumps. Don't count dots. Count jumps between dots. So it's a 4 by 8 rectangle. So the area of the whole rectangle is 32. I'll just write it here. 4 by 8, 32. We don't have to put a half. Remember, for rectangle, we don't put a half. Only for triangles do we put in the half base times height for triangle area. Okay, now let's subtract the parts that are missing. I'm going to start up here. This is a base of 1, right? Just going to look right up here. This is base of 1. This is height 1, 2, 3. So height 3, you with me? So this height is 1, 2, 3, and this base is 1. It's a 1 by 3 triangle. So, you got to take, so I'm going to just say, you just multiply those 1 times 3, and then half of 3, 1.5. That okay without writing everything down? So for a triangle, remember it's a half times base times height. So you just take one side times the other and then cut it in half. So 3 times 1 is 3. Half of $3 is $1.50. And that's true, isn't it? If you do the whole thing right here, see how there's 3 squares and then this triangle cuts that exactly in half? So that triangle does occupy exactly half of 3 squares. Half of $3, $1.50. Half of 3 squares, a square and a half, 1.5 squares. See how that's what his area is? That's why there's a half in that triangle formula. And then this over here is identical. Well, I'm just going to go 1.5. Those are the same. Okay, now what about the middle part? What's the area of this shape? And then this one, of course, will be the same. What's the area of that shape? Well, it's not easy to tell, is it? Because it's a weird shape. So what you want to do is draw in sideways lines. So I'm going to draw in, oops, that's not what I want to do. You want to draw in this line here, just to there, and then that just to there. There we go. See how I broke it into triangles and rectangles that have straight sides? That's much easier for us to figure out the area of shapes with straight sides, meaning sides that go straight up and down and straight sideways. So I break it up like that, and I go, okay. Now, this down here is, let's start down here. This is 3 this way, and this is 1, right? This is 1, 2, 3. You count jumps, not dots. 3 by 1. 3 by 1 is 3, and we just write 3. I don't do a half there because that's a rectangle, not a triangle. That's exactly 3 squares, isn't it? You can see it. There they are. 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. 3 squares. So for the rectangle formulas, whenever we have a rectangle, we just do one side times the other. We don't do the half. Triangles, we do the half. So let's do the next little triangle piece here. This is 1 right here. And this side right here is 3, isn't it? Let's count it. Well, let's count the jumps. 1, 2, 3 jumps. Yep, and 1 jump. It's a 3 by 1 triangle. And then you do half though, because triangle form, there's a half base times size. Half of $3, $1.50. And you can see it. If you drew in the whole thing, 3 squares, 3 by 1, but this triangle only uses half of that space. Half of 3 squares is a square and a half, 1.5. Finally, we've got this little zone right here, which is what? This is too big of a thing there. This is 3, right? This is 1, 2, 3 squares and 1, 2. This is 3 by 2 triangle. So you multiply one side by the other. 3 times 2 is 6. Half of 6, 3. That's exactly 3. So for all the triangles, we multiply the 2 sides and take half, because triangle formula is half a base times side. So what do we have? And you can see that's actually true, because if we were to fill in the whole thing, we would see there's 6 squares there. And this triangle occupies half of 6 squares, 3 squares, exactly 3 squares. Okay, and the other side is going to be the same. You know, if we filled in the other side, it's going to be identical, right? If we drew this line here, this line here, we'd get the exact same numbers. We'd get a 3 right there. We would get a 3 down here, and we would get a 1.5 right there. All right, we've got all the missing parts. Now we can do it. So subtract. So now you got to kind of make sure you don't miss any. You have 1.5 and 1.5 for those 2 at the top, this one and this one. And then the 3, 3, 1.5, and 3, 3, 1.5 again. So if you subtract all of that, what do you get? So the area of the shape, area of the inside shape will equal 32 minus, I don't know, if you add all these up, what's that? 3 and 3, and these guys make 12, and then these guys make a 3, don't they? So that's what? 32 minus 18. So the area of the inside shape is, I think, 14? Yeah, 14. So the area of the inside shape must be 14. There must be 14 in here to make the overall thing add up to 32. So there we go. Our answer is 14.